Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is the page and segmented memory allocation. So from the previous meeting, we have discussed about the memory allocation technique. So you have your contiguous and your non-contiguous allocation technique. So we have already discussed the contiguous, and now we will be discussing the non-contiguous memory allocation technique. So in the non-contiguous memory allocation technique allows to store parts of a single process in non-contiguous fashion. Thus, the different parts of the same process can be stored at different places in the main memory. So it can be swapped. So there are two techniques used for non-contiguous memory allocation. You have your paging and your segmentation. So we will discuss more, or we will focus more on the paging part. So what is paging? Paging is a fixed size partitioning scheme. So in paging, your secondary memory and your main memory are divided into equal fixed size partition. But the problem is, do you know what is the main memory of your computer system and what is your secondary memory? So again, your main memory will be your RAM, and your secondary memory will be your HDD. So the partitions of secondary memory are called as pages. And then for your main memory, they are called as frames. Again, the partitions of your secondary memory is known as your pages. Then the partition of your main memory is frame. So it can be seen here the picture. So again, your main memory partition is known as your frames, while for your secondary memory, it will be your pages. So each process is divided into parts, where size of each part is same as the page size. So the size of the last part may be less than the page sizes. The page of process are stored in the frame of main memory depending upon their availability. So don't forget that the partitions of your secondary memory and the partitions of your main memory. So this is an example of paging. So you consider a process is divided into 4 pages. You have your P0, P1, P2, and P3. Depending upon the availability, these pages may be stored in the main memory frames in a non-contiguous fashion as shown. So, lain-lain na yung allocation. Ang P0 can be allocated on the 3rd page. Then, P1 is in the 1st page of your main memory. P2 is at the 4th page. And your P3 is at the 2nd page. Next. So, paging is non-contiguous memory allocation technique. So, the logical address generated by the CPU is translated in a physical address using a page table. So, when translating your logical address to your physical address, so you will be using a page table. So, what is a page table? A page table is the data structure. So, it maps the page number referenced by CPU to the frame number where that page is stored. Again, it maps the page number referenced by the CPU. And then, to the frame number where that page is stored. So from your CPU nga naghatag og page number, then it will be stored at your frame number. So there are different characteristics of your page table. So your page table is stored in the main memory. Then the number of entries in your page table is equal to the number of pages in which the process is divided. So again, if you have your page table nga 4 page, katong ganihang example, P0 to P4, then the number of pages in which the process is divided. So whatever pila ka number ang process, mo sa the number sa imong page table. So your PTBR or your page table base register contains the base address of your page table. So naanay address imong base address imong page table, and it is known as your PTBR. So each process has its own independent page table. So each process lain-lain silang page table. So working with paging or obtaining a frame number using page table. As you can see in this diagram, your PTBR, it contains the base address of your page table. So your base address of the page table will be added. So kani siya imong PTBR will be added with your reference number. Kani siya i-add ni siya. So it gives the entry of your page table. So whatever added sa imong reference page number with your PTBR number, so that will serve as your frame number where the reference page is stored. So again, you have your reference page number and with your PTBR or katong address of your page table. So i-add ra na imong reference page number o ang imong address, base address sa imong page table that will serve as your frame number. Next, the page table entry. So a page table entry contains several information about the page. So again, your page table entry will be your frame number na. Ba? So the information contained in the page table entry varies from the operating system to your operating system. So the most important information in your page table entry is your frame number. So mandatory yun siya ang frame number. There should be a frame number. So in general, each entry of the page table contains the following information. So mauni siya ang entry sa inyong page table. You have your frame number, your present or absent, protection, reference, caching, and your dirty. So your frame number is a compulsory field. So meaning mandatory ni siya. You should have a frame number. While the other fields are optional. So it can be naa or it can be naa or wala siya. So that is the entry of your page table, which contains information. So first one, your frame number, katong ganiha nga entry, your frame number specifies the frame where the page is stored in the main memory. Then the number of bits in frame number depends on the number of frames in the main memory. So again, equal na siya. Next is your present or absent bit. So this is also sometimes called as the valid or invalid bit. So this bit specifies whether that the page is present in the main memory or not. So if your page is not present then this bit is set to 0. Otherwise, kung present siya, it can be set into 1. So note that the required page is not present in the main memory, so it is called as page fault. So a page fault requires page initialization. So the required page has to be initialized from the secondary memory and brought into the main memory. So if ever gani ang imuhang page is not present, required page is not present in your main memory, so it can be initialized from the secondary memory, and then can be brought in your main memory. So mao na siya ang present or absent bit. Next, you have your protection bit. Diba, from the third column, you have your protection bit. So for your protection bit, it is sometimes called as the read or write bit. So this bit is concerned with the page protection. So it specifies the permission to perform read and write operation on the page. So kay bawal mo kung sa ang read niya, kung sa ang write, basahon siya and then rewrite. So if only read operation is allowed to be performed and no writing is allowed, then this bit is set to 0. So kung balitan, if perform niya is read ra, walay writing, so ang bit ni mo is set to 0. So if both read and write operation are allowed to be performed, then your bit is set to 1. So that is for protection bit. So kinahanglan magdungan siya. You have to read and write, or your write and read operation should be both performed to set your bit into 1. Reference bit. The next column is your reference bit. So your reference bit specifies whether that page has been referenced in the last clock cycle or not. So if your page has been referenced recently, then this bit is set to 1, otherwise set to 0. So reference bit is useful for page replacement policy. So mag-replace ka og information. So a page that has not been referenced recently is considered a good candidate for page replacement in LRU page replacement policy. So the fifth column is your caching enabled or disabled. So this bit enables or disables the caching of pages. So whenever freshness in data is required, then cache is disabled using this bit. So if caching of pages is disabled, then this bit is set to 1, otherwise set to 0. The last column is your dirty bit. So this bit is also sometimes called as modified bit. So this bit specifies whether the page has been modified or not. So if the page has been modified, then this bit is set to 1, otherwise set to 0. In case the page is modified, before replacing the modified page with some other page, it has to be written back in the secondary memory to avoid losing the data. Your dirty bit helps to avoid unnecessary writes. So this is because if the page is not modified, then it can be directly replaced by another page without any need of writing it back to the desk. So when you say modified, so it is more on replacement of your page. So those are the information that can be seen in your frame information. So this is an example of paging. Suppose we have a main memory and the size of your main memory is 16 KB and the size of the frame is 1 KB. So in this, the memory is split into 16 frames. So again, your main memory can be split into 16 frames. So and each frame is of 1 KB. So kada frame niya is consist of 1 KB. So in the system, we have 4 distinct processes. So again, your main memory kuno has the main 16 KB. So when you count this one, kani frame, you have your 16 KB. So in this memory, it is split into 16 frames. 16 frames na siya. So, and each frame is allocated with 1 KB. So, kani siya, 1 KB ni siya. And the rest are 1 KB. So, in the system, we had 4 distinct process. So, sa imuhang system, naaray upat ka process. So, you have your A1, kani siya, E2, A3, and A4. So, kani siya A2, A3, and A4. So, the size of each process is 4 KB. So, kani siya 4 KB. Ayan, size, ayan process. 4 KB sa ni siya. Siya 4 KB. So, in this, how do you split or divide all the pages in the page of size 1 KB? So, to store it in the frame. So, diba, you have, so for your paging, this frame size should be equal to your page size. So, since your one frame is equals to 1 KB, so your page size also is equal to 1 KB. So, that's why, kani siyang 4 KB ni mo nga A1 is inserted in the frame or inserted in pages by using this one. So, diba 16 KB yeah, if you have your 4 KB is divided into 4, kani siya nga part, kani siya nga part, o kani siya nga part. As you can see, naa siya 4 frames. You have your A1, kani siya part, A2, A3, and A4. Since ang imuhang size sa page or the size of your frame is 1 frame is equals to 1 KB, yeah, since your frame size is just the same with page size, so your process, all of your process that is 4 KB will be divided into 1 KB. I-divide mo siya into 4 parts. So that will serve as 1 KB, 1 KB. May siya nahog siya 1 KB, 1 KB, 1 KB, and 1 KB. So same with the other process. So kung tan-awon nimo siya, you have your 16 KB main memory, and then each process, which is 4 KB, is substituted to the page, or is substituted to each frames by 1 KB. Gi 1 KB niya siya. So, ang paging niya is equivalent to 1 KB. Page size niya. So, the first 4 frames or the first 4 page is allocated with a process A1. You subdivide siya into 1 KB. Kaya ang size sa imuhang frame is just equal to the size of your page. So, if your frame is 1 KB, so divided siya ang imuhang process into 4 to make it 4 KB na lang. After na, same with process 2. Kay by 1 KB man siya, divide siya into 4. 1 KB. Same with process 3 and process 4. So, inana ang iyang pag-paging sa imong process sa imong memory. Next, the advantages and disadvantages of paging. So for the advantage of paging, so it allows to store parts of a single process in non-contiguous fashion. So it solves the problem of external fragmentation. Next is the disadvantage is it suffers from internal fragmentation. So there is an overhead of maintaining a page table for each process. So the time taken to fetch the instruction increases since there are two memory accesses are required. You have your main memory and your secondary memory. So murag malangay siya. Kay after na kung magkuan ka sa imong main memory magod mungadto pa ka sa imong secondary memory. That's why. So next is translating your logical address into your physical address. So your CPU always generates a logical address. So a physical address is needed to access your main memory. So that's why you have to convert your logical to your physical memory. So again, ang CPU kuno nimo will always generates logical address. And then your main memory will accept only physical addresses. So that's why naani siya nga translation of your logical address into your physical address for them to be accepted by the memory. So the following steps are followed to translate your logical address into your physical address. Step 1. Since your CPU generates logical address consisting of two page parts, your page number and your page offset. So your page number specifies the page of the process from which CPU wants to read the data. So again, page number specifies the specific page of the process. The page offset specifies the specific word. Ang ganihang page number specifies the specific number, while for our specific page of the process, while for page offset, it specifies the specific word on the page that CPU wants to read. Ana na siya for logical process. The next step is for the page number generated by the CPU. Page table provides corresponding frame number where that page is stored in the memory, main memory. Diba from logical address generated by CPU, so you have to provide a page table that corresponds the frame number or katong base address niya sa frame number, so that your page can be stored in your main memory. Next, step 3. The frame number combined with the page offset forms the required physical address. Diba? From your logical, it should be converted to your physical address. So to make it physical address is composed of your frame number. Ganiha kay for logical address kay page number man to siya, di ba? Page number for logical. So since we want to convert your logical to physical address, so it should be your physical is composed of frame number and your page offset. So same na gapon na ang page offset, but the only difference is ang imong page number is converted into your frame number. So your frame number specifies the specific frame where the required page is stored. Diba ang katong imong page, diba, you have your page table. So your page table consists of your frame number. So ang imong frame number na sa imong physical address will be the required page where your frame has been stored. So again, your page offset is just the same with your page offset sa imong logical address. It is the specific word that has been to read from the page. Mawala na siya. From your logical address, ang combination sa imong logical address is your page number. And for your physical address is your frame number. And then, it is combined with page offset. So, same ra sila. Page offset ra sila. Next. So, this diagram illustrates the above steps of translating your logical address into your physical address. Diba na? Ito'y 3 step. The first step is to recognize the reference number of your logical address from your CPU. So, mauning yung CPU. This will be your logical address. So, again, your logical address is composed of your page number and your page offset. So, for your page offset, it's just the same with your page offset or offset of your physical address. Diba ganyan? So, next is your page number will be added by your page table PTBR. Unsang itong PTBR? PTBR. Unsang itong PTBR? Page table base register. So your base address, diba, ang imong PTBR is your base address. Page base PTBR, page table base address, base register. Balik ta. So again, this diagram illustrates the above steps of translating your logical address into your physical address. So to be stored for your information to be stored in your main memory. So this is your CPU. Diba? First is your CPU will generate a logical address. To store your logical address or your information, so again, ang imong CPU is nag-generate siya logical address. But your main memory will accept only physical addresses. That's why you have to translate your logical address to its physical address for the main memory to accept your information. So again, the first one is your CPU will generate a logical address. So again, your logical address is consist of your page number and your offset. So your page number will specify the reference number of your page. And your offset will specify the words, diba? The words that has been read in the page. So, your offset is just the same with your offset sa imong physical address. It also specifies the word in the page, diba? Information in the page. For your physical address, so lahi sad siya, is combined, your offset is combined with a frame number. So, your frame number comes from your page table katong i-designate na frame number na. And then, your page number, ang pangutana, di inigikuha ang your frame. information. So it is the addition of your page number and your PTBR or your page table base register. So i-add na siya. So whatever your page number, so it can be stored, your frame can be stored in your page or process. Page number sa imong process. So for this example, sa imong page table, your frame has been stored in your process 1, page 2, or your process 1. So again, ang iyang flow is from your CPU that generates your logical address, then your page number is added by your page table base register. Then the result for that one is your frame. After that, your frame will be transferred to your frame number. So you don't have any problem with your offset. Okay? Your offset will just be the same with the offset of your logical address. So your frame number will serve as your physical address frame number, and then added by the offset. So whatever the result for this one will be transferred on the same fixed size of your, or transferred on the same process of your information. So since P1 man to siya naka-transfer mo frame, you have to look for P1 sa imong main memory. So dito na siya stored ang imong information. So what's the use why we are using this translation of logical address in physical address? Diba, for your information that has been generated by your CPU, so ang generate ng information is in a form of a logical address. But since your main memory will only accept physical address, that's why you have to convert your logical address into your physical address. So I have here an example for you to be able to understand more about the translation of your logical address in your physical address. Maani siya ang example. So before mapping your virtual to physical or your logical address to physical address, so it is done by a memory management unit. Ang mapping sa imong physical to or logical to your physical address, it can be done by your memory management units. So you have your physical address space is conceptually divided into a number of fixed size blocks. So they are known as frames. So your logical address space is also splitted into fixed size blocks called pages. So again, sa logical address will be pages. Ang sa physical address, katong i-divide na nga fixed blocks is known as the frames. So your frame page size is equals to your frame size. So whatever your page size is just equal to your frame size. Example. This is an example of the translation of your logical address to your physical address. So again, let's consider the example. Your physical address is consist of 12 bits in physical address, 12 bits. Then you have your physical address space, 4 keywords. Then your logical address have 13 bits. Then your logical address space is 8 keywords. So again, your page size is equal to your frame size, which is equal to 1 key words. So how to compute for your number of pages and your number of frames. So again, to get the number of frames, you have to divide your physical address space divided by your frame size. Diba, you have your physical address space nimo is 4. It will be divided by your frame size or your page size. Same naman sila, 1 key. So it is equivalent to 4. So since we're using bit man, binary bit, so your 4 can be converted to 2 raised to the power of 2. So that is for the number of frames. So again, your number of frames is 4. So that's why ang imuhang number of frames, is 4. From 0, 1, 2, 3. Mao na siya 4. Next is you have your number of pages. So your number of pages is your logical address space divided by the page size. Diba, ang imuhang logical address is 8 key divided by 1 key, which is equivalent to 8. So if you're going to use it in binary system, exponential form, so mayroon kag 2 raised to the power of 3, which is equivalent to 8. So again, ini-generate na sa imong CPU, that will generate the logical address and the number of the katong PTBR mo, page table, PTRP, page table register, page table base register, PT So as you can see in the CPU, you have your logical address. So since it's 13-bit, so your page will be 3. This at pwede 3. Then your offset will be 10. So same with your physical address. Since your offset is 10, so 10 sa yung mga offset dari sa PCAS. So if want to access page number, mora ni siya page number. So there is no page table base register ni siya. So your page number is 3 kani siya. So you have to go to your P3. Mao ni siya P3. So it is consist of your kanang page map table or your PMT on your page table. So your P3 is your 2. So this will serve as your frame number. Then your frame number will be this one, 2 by 10. 2 by 10. So this will serve as your frame number and this will serve as your offset. So the output for this one is you have your frame number 2 kanisiya, and then it contains 2 raised to the power of 10 nga words for your physical memory. So your address is generated by CPU is divided into your page number, which is your P, and your page offset, which is your D. So the page number is the number of bits required to represent the pages in logical address space or page number. Your offset will be the number of bits required to represent particular word in a page, or the page size of your logical address space, or the word number of page or the page offset. So for your physical address, it is divided into two: your frame number, which is your F, and your D. So your frame number is the number of bits required to represent the frame of your physical address space or the frame number. Then your frame offset is the number of bits required to represent particular word in a frame or a frame size of physical address, and the word of a number of a frame or a frame set. But usually the frame bits or the page bits number is always 10. That's why I'm having kuan is 10 sa akong erase. So kaning 10. So it's up to you to divide, since na naman siya gihatag naman yung physical address nga 12 bits and 13 bits logical address. So it's up to you to divide. So always remember that in your page offset and your frame offset is always 10 na siya. Nga i-divide nimo siya from your page number and your offset, frame number and your offset. So it should be this one. Na siya. So that's all for today. So there will be an exam next meeting. Thank you.